It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So first, the reason why I work with the parent is because the parent needs to be able to self-regulate themselves. Usually, kids will trigger parents' past traumas, and only then are they going to be able to co-regulate. Dan Siegel talks about the child lending their prefrontal cortex, the parent lending their prefrontal cortex to the child, with the goal of the child being able to independently and on their own self-regulating. And you do that. There's I'm going to call it 3 themes or flavors to this process of co-regulation. Once the parent is able to kind of have an understanding of how the child is triggering them, you have to establish safety. Safety is very important. So it's all about down-regulating that amygdala. If there's no safety, the child cannot learn. The child will not remember what you told them. Your very insightful parenting strategies are not going to go into the child because they're upregulated and they're about survival. Joining, so you join with whatever comes your way, and keeping in mind that it's not personal, that it's not about the parent. And then the entire process of integration, which again, it's the gold standard of emotional well-being, to be able to integrate the good, the bad, and the ugly, past, present, sad, happy, and everything in between.
It's interesting because when we talk about narrative, and not so much in psychotherapy, although just moving out generally, when we have a narrative, when we're watching a film, when we're watching reading a book, this is exactly what happens in life. There's the good, there's the bad, there's the ugly. And actually, as a writer, one of the things you do is to have all these elements and then bring them to some kind of point of togetherness. So you have a happy ending, or at least you have some sort of a shift and change. So what I really like about, amongst many things, but one of the things I really like is how much what you do relates to the natural things of life. You're not trying to force a process or a protocol. You're just engaging a protocol that's based on life. And that's so obvious to me as I look through.
Yes, very much indeed. I agree with you. Yeah. And it's about that concept of joining, that it's not my agenda, really. I try to kind of feel what's going on in the room and what's needed. And I join with that, no matter what it is.
This is you as the therapist. When you're working, you're asking them to join, but you actually do the same thing.
Yeah, because in a way, when I'm meeting with a parent, my coaching is really in vivo, because the way that I am responding to their issues, they're internalizing that, and that's how they're going to. That's what they're going to use with their kids. So I'm joining with the parent, and the parent is, in essence, I'm teaching them to be a therapeutic parent, because my goal is to reduce the amount of kids that need to get psychotherapy. I want the parent to be able to do some of that to avoid kids, how do I say this? Getting so bad emotionally, I think that the parents just don't know this. And once I teach them, it happens really fast. This is very short term. Even though I was trained psychodynamically, which usually is kind of longer term therapy, the way that I do it by pretty much involving the parent, this stuff happens in months. It's not years. 3-4 months, 6 months, 9 months at the latest. And those are multiple kids that we would be talking about, and a couple that's having a lot of problems themselves.
But I also seem to see in some of the stuff that you're saying that the changes, the shifts, even though the major shift may take a period of weeks or so, but as I see that sometimes it's almost immediate, that there's an improvement or a change, or just which is normal for complex systems to understand why. But yeah, it's really impactful.
Yeah, and what I tell parents, on the first session, at the end of the first session, by the end of the first session, I want to make sure that they can go home and use some of this relational narratives. And I'll tell them, you'll come back not because I'm some great therapist, but because you're going to get some feedback from your child. When you say these things in a way that's different, they're going to react differently. and you are going to feel the mirror neurons. You're going to feel the increase in serotonin, the increase in oxytocin. You will know, you will see the difference in your child, and this works. So it's almost like I'm riding on their neurobiology. I'm just a surfer, a California surfer guy riding on their neurotransmitters. And yeah.
Well, if you want to know more about the science of psychotherapy, come across to our website, thescienceofpsychotherapy.com, and our podcast of the same name, and learn more about the science of you.